In this video, we're going to be looking at solving two-step equations. Okay, so the goal when you're solving a two-step equation or any equation is to get the variable alone, or in other words, isolate the variable. The first equation we have is negative 3x minus 7 equals 14. So I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign, and when I look at the side of the equation that has the variable, I want to get rid of the negative 3 and the negative 7. Well, the negative 3 is connected to the variable, so I want to undo the minus or the negative 7 first. So this minus 7 is going to need to move to the opposite side of the equation, and in order to do that, I need to do the opposite of what's being done. So if that says minus 7, I'm going to add 7 and add 7 to the other side. So when I do my calculations, that cancels out. I bring down what is still there, so that's minus 3x equals, I'll calculate 14 plus 7, and when I do that, that would equal 21. From here, looking at the side that has the variable again, that negative 3 is being multiplied, so the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. So I'll divide by negative 3 there, divide by negative 3 over here. And if you remember your little multiplication and division rules, the p's and then the n's everywhere else. So a positive, let's see, that would be a positive right here divided by a negative. That would give me a negative answer. So that's going to give me a x equals negative 7. So my answer is negative 7. So when I look at the steps, the first step says we're going to do blank to both sides of the equation. So the first thing we did was we added 7 on both sides. After we did that, we then divide by negative 3. And the end, we get x equals negative 7. So that would be your answer. If you want to check your answer, you would take the original equation and whatever value you got for the variable x, you would substitute that in. So negative 3 times negative 7 minus 7, work out this side. So that would be 21 minus 7, which equals 14. And 14 does equal 14, so that means that answer is correct. Now I move on to my next equation. My next equation here says 0.5x plus 17 equals 10. So I'm going to draw my line down. Okay, looking at the side that has the variable, I want to get rid of the plus 17 first, and I'm going to do that by doing the opposite. So minus 17 on both sides. Bring down what is still on the left side, so 0.5x equals 10 minus 17 is going to be negative 7 because they're different signs, so you subtract and take the sign of the larger, which is the 17. Then you'll divide both sides by the number with the variable, so divide both sides by 0.5. Be careful you don't lose that decimal. And so when you do negative divided by a positive, you'll get a negative answer, and 7 divided by 0.5 is negative 14. Okay, so when I fill in my steps, my first step was to subtract. So subtract 17 to both sides of the equation. Step 2, we divided by 0.5 to both sides of the equation, and once we did that, x equaled negative 14. And that is all. All right, so now the last equation here says 4x plus 9 equals negative 23. Let me draw my line down the equal sign. Looking at the side that has the variable, I want to get rid of that plus 9 first by subtracting 9. Bring down what is on the left side, so 4x equals, when I calculate negative 23 minus 9, the signs are the same on those numbers, so I have to add the two numbers together, and I would get 32, and you keep the sign of the numbers, which would be negative. Now divide both sides by the number with the variable, which is 4, and x equals negative divided by positive is negative, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. So my steps, step 1, the first thing we did was subtract 9 to both sides of the equation. Step 2, we then divided by 4 to both sides of the equation, and we got x equals negative 8. Now remember, if you want to check your answer, if it is correct, you copy down the original equation, so 4x plus 9 equals negative 23. Substitute the value you got for the variable, so 4, and in parentheses, negative 8 plus 9. Work this out, so that would be negative 32 plus 9, and solving that, you would get negative 23, and negative 23 does equal negative 23, so that answer is correct. Hope this helps and refreshes your memory from earlier in the year. Good luck on the assignment.